morning. Yet for wireless system planning. Now first we will see the introduction of planning a wireless network. So what are the goals for that? The first goal is to understand why there is a need for planning a wireless network or the link and how it can perform effectively. Then the second goal is to know what kind of information is valuable to collect when performing a site survey and how to do it. And the third goal is to learn about some free tools that can simplify it. Then, why plan a wireless network? So, we will start with a list of the case when the planning is not really needed and can be skipped. So, the very simple deployments, for example, an access point to a server or conference room, a repeated installation of the same equipment in multiple sites, all are similar to each other. Then experiments or the test, which mean to play with a new or old equipment which we have already purchased. So in all the situations above, we can just go and install the equipment without having to follow a planning procedure. So how to plan a wireless network? A simple step-by-step procedure is presented here as a guide to organize an own planning and design in the most effective way. So we have to remember that in complex field like wireless networking, there is never a unique and perfect step-by-step procedure which can guarantee a success, and which will have to adopt a planning scheme to fit the local situation with its advantage and constraints. So proper planning takes some time. Okay, so remember to allocate a reasonable amount of time to do some planning in advance and start doing it right from the beginning of the project. Now then we have to define the goals. So define the goal and characterize the desired output of the project with a measurable figures like average usage, or we can say number of clients that are connected, then latency and other network issue that can influence the service running of the network. Then third is the reliability and the next is maintenance. Then after defining the goal, we have to understand the constraints. So local availability of the equipment, regularity aspect, then limitations of the ISP, then access to the site infrastructure, availability of the power, human resources and financial constraint, that is budget. So these are some of the constraints that we have to understand. Then design and simulation. So here the feasibility check, that is design and simulate the architecture of the wireless network, considering the aspect like the first aspect is the location of the node and their access map, then equipment to be deployed in each node, availability of antenna, support structure, then RF power link budget and line of sight character of each, source of powering of each equipment, selection of frequency and co-location and interference issue in each node. So these are some of the points related to design and simulation. Then the next is the site survey. So site survey, here the inspection of every relevant site, that is evaluating its positive and negative points also, or we can say aspects also, like uh, accessibility to the site and inside the structure, electrical power provisioning and grounding, survey of the EM spectrum and its usage, then line of sight clearance towards other nodes, pre-existing structure for antenna mounting, then arrange for practical consideration before the actual installation, and document everything with notes and pictures, takes a precise measurement, where possible, which takes the GPS coordinates and elevation data. Then the next step is the final design. Then it is final design of our wireless network using the relevant information which is acquired during the site survey. So final choice of equipment for every node, recalculation of power budget, then detailed plan for the antenna mounting and for running of all the RF or Ethernet, power grounding cable, then frequency plan, network topology and architecture, IP addressing scheme. Then pre-deployment. So this is the final step before the deployment. uh, Here the draft timing scheme for all purchases, transportation and deployment of equipment, plan in advance the allocation of human resources, configure and test all the equipment before leaving the lab, prepare a checklist of all the equipment, tools, supplies, then label all devices with relevant information like password, IP address. So this is so the deployment consists of install all equipment, antenna, cabling, fine tune antenna alignment with a single generator and single strength meter if it is available. Then test the power supplies and Ethernet cables. Also check if the radios are working. Check if the links are established. Fine tune the antenna alignment using the reading of the receivers. Then do performance test on each individual link and on the complete network. Then post deployment consists of the task. These tasks consist of document the actual configuration of all devices, revise the scheme of the running of RF, Ethernet, power and grounding cable, documenting any difference from the original planning, then record the RF signal strength at every receiver for future comparison and reference, and devise a maintenance schedule for visiting each site. So that's why wireless planning system planning is important. And the next point is link budget. Link budget. Now, a link budget means what? Link budget is an accounting of all of the power gain, and it loses gain. It is accounting of power gain and losses that communication signal experiences in telecommunication system from the transmitter through a communication medium such as radio waves, cable, waveguide or optical fiber to the receiver. So it is an equation which is giving the received power from transmitted power after the attenuation of the transmitted signal due to the propagation, as well as the antenna gain and feed line and other losses, and the amplification of the signal in the receiver or any repeaters it passes through. A link budget is a design which is calculated during the design of communication system to determine the received power, also to ensure that the information is received intelligibly with an adequate signal to noise ratio. Randomly varying channel gains such as fading are taken into account by adding some margin which is depending on the anticipated severity of its effect. Also, the amount of margin which is required can be reduced by the use of mitigating techniques such as antenna diversity or frequency hopping. The performance of any communication link depends on the quality of the equipment being used. Okay, the performance of the communication link depends on what? The quality of that equipment which is used for the experiment. So link budget is the way of qualifying the link performance. The received power in an 802.11 link is determined by three factors. One is transmit power, transmitting antenna gain, and receiving antenna gain. So if that power minus the free space loss of the link path is greater than the minimum received signal level of the receiving radio, then a link is possible. The difference between the minimum received signal level and the actual received power is called the link margin. Then the link margin must be positive and it should be maximized, which should be at least 10 dB or more for a reliable link. Link budget is also used to compute cell coverage by accounting for all the factors that determine the cell coverage to balance the system cost against the required cell capacity. Link budget factors controlled by the RF engineer include transmitter radiated power, antenna gain, noise figure, and co-channel interference, that is reuse factor N. Then the factors which cannot be controlled directly but must be considered in the link budget include a propagation path loss and a system bandwidth. Link budget is commonly used metric to evaluate the coverage of a cellular system in a downlink or uplink. Also, in order to calculate the link budget, the one must account for all gains and losses from the transmitter to receiver over the air interference. It accounts for the attenuation of the transmitted signal due to the propagation as well as the antenna gain, cable and implementation loss, and other miscellaneous losses. So the time varying channel gains such as fading are taken into account by adding some margin depending on the anticipated severity of its effect. The amount of margin required can be reduced by the use of mitigating technique such as the antenna diversity or the frequency hopping. So an abstract description of the link budget in any direction, that is the downlink and uplink. Also, a simple link budget equation looks like a received power, which is in dBm, equal to transmitted power in dBm plus gain in dB minus losses. Received power equal to transmitted power plus gain minus losses. Now the power levels which are expressed in dBm uh, power levels are expressed in dBm. Power gain and losses are expressed in decibel, that is only in dB, which is logarithmic measurement. So adding decibel is equivalent to multiplying the actual power. I have told power levels are expressed in dBm, that is received power and transmitted power are in dBm, while the power gain and the losses are in decibel only, that is dB. So which is a logarithmic measurement. So adding decibel is equivalent to multiplying the actual power ratio. This link budget the link budget evaluation is well-known method for initial cell planning, which needs to be carried out separately for the downlink and uplink. although the link budget can be calculated separately for each. So link budget evaluation is well known. It is a well known method for initial sale planning which needs to be carried out separately for the downlink and uplink. Although the link budget can be calculated separately for each link, and it is a combination of the link which determine the performance of the system. So using the margins in the link budget, the expected signal to noise ratio can be evaluated at a given distances. And using this result, the noise limited range can be evaluated for the system. Link budget can also be derived from a set of a system parameter, their tolerances, and it is straightforward addition and subtraction of gains and losses when values are converted to the decibels. So link budget accounts for an optional system, and it includes a gain from antennas, that is a telescope, and the laser transmitter, or the losses in the propagation through the propagating optical path, losses through the space or atmosphere, and losses through the receiving optical train to the photodetector. Then the primary interest in the link budget analysis is the determination of the required power at opposite terminal detector, and this value is derived from signal to noise ratio or the probability of bit error analysis. Any received power over and above the required power constitute the link margin. Typically, a separate link budgets are required for each of the communication, tracking and acquisition subsystem, uplink and downlink. Also, link budget drives may be categorized as those fixed by the user specification, for example data rate, distance and BER, those fixed by physics, that is beam divergence and space loss due to 1 by r square effect. Also third one is the variable of the hardware design, for example laser power or aperture size. Fourth one is variables of the hardware quality, for example quality of the optics. So in terms of implementation, major link budget drives consist of: one is the transmitter's beam divergence and the receiver's aperture diameter, then receiver's sensitivity, the minimum power detector needs to receive for a given BER, and path length losses, atmospheric attenuation and atmospheric dilation losses. So positive link margin is required to successfully close a communication link. The link margin is simply the ratio of received power to the required power by the receiver. The required signal power is a complex function of the target BER, second the implementation losses, and third the different noise term. The last term example includes the absorption at the refractors and the surface coating, refraction at the coated and uncoated surfaces, scattering due to the surface contamination, signal splitting, for example for initial acquisition, wavefront error due to the manufacturing quality, polarization mismatches, and vignetting due to optical and or mechanical segment getting in the way of each other. The space loss, or we can say a beam spreading loss, is caused by the refraction at finite aperture diameter, and it is dominating loss factor in long range communication. Now, while the link budget calculation, the goals are to be able to calculate how far we can go with the equipment we have. The next goal is to understand why we need high masks for long link. And third goal is to learn about the software which help to automate the process of planning radio link. So in that, the first free space loss means what? The signal power is diminished by the geometric spreading of the waveform, which is commonly known as free space loss. So the power of the signal which is spread over a wavefront, uh, the area of which increases as the distance from the transmitter increases. Therefore, the power density diminishes. The link budget is the way of quantifying the link performance. Link budget means what? It is the way of quantifying the link performance. Here the received power in a wireless link is determined by the three factors, which we have already seen, that is the transmit power, transmitting antenna gain, and the receiving antenna gain. If that power minus the free space loss of the link path is greater than the minimum received signal level of the receiving radio, then the link is possible. A difference between the minimum received signal level and the actual received power is called the link margin. Then the link margin must be positive and it should be maximized. So now we can also say the link budget is the calculation of total gain and loss in the system to conclude the received signal level at the receiver. Link budget means what? Link budget is the calculation of total gain and loss. Budget is the calculation of total gain and loss in the system to conclude the received signal level. So the received signal level is compared to the receiver sensitivity to check if the channel status is pass or fail. The channel status is pass if the received signal level is better than the reception sensitivity, else it is fail. Channel status is pass if received signal level is better than the reception sensitivity, else it is fail. So to calculate the path loss, we require the information of the d, that is the distance d, which is the distance between the transmitter and the receiver, that is the sail radius, and the center frequency, that is fc. If the sail radius corresponds to max sail range, then the path loss will correspond to maximum allowed path loss. Once we know the value of the path loss, then it is possible to calculate the received signal level, which will be compared to the receiver sensitivity. Now receiver sensitivity depend on the thermal noise power, dBm, noise figure, that is dB, then demodulation threshold. The receiver sensitivity is calculated using the formula. The receiver sensitivity in dBm equal to noise figure dB plus thermal noise in dBm plus SINR in dBm. Now thermal noise is calculated using the formula K into BW. What is K? It is Boltzmann constant, T is temperature and W is the bandwidth. So the noise figure and SINR, these are the vendor specific values which depend mainly on the hardware performance and the modulation coding scheme, that is decoding performance. So it is clear that the link budget allows us to either calculate the cell radius R by a given receiver sensitivity or calculate the received signal level, that is RSL, for a given cell radius and compare the same to the reception sensitivity to check the channel status, that is pass or fail. The reception sensitivity is mainly based on the capacity requirement as SINR value, which is directly linked to how much throughput we want to achieve at the cell edge. So by knowing the cell radius, we can conclude that the square area covered by one base station using a one base station. Now, one of the main use case of link budget is pre-scale activity of 5G deployment. So knowing the number of 5G sites, it will help the vendor and operator to estimate the cost and the effort. The link budget calculation allow us to estimate the achieved capacity, which is based on different quality requirement like SINR. So one of the main output of the link budget are cell radius, number of the base station, and the achieved capacity and throughput at cell edge. It is also possible to get the above output using a planning tool, but it will require a time to create the project and import the physical data, map, network configuration and running of the prediction and analysis. So this is all about the introduction of the basic information of the link budget.